Hi guys, so while we get set up, we're gonna go ahead and get started. So we were asked to do a webinar by one of the charter schools we work with, and we thought you all on Facebook Live might like joining us. Hello everyone. I think we're gonna start by talking a little bit about Timberdoodle and then show you guys a kid.
Yep. So kind of a little bit of history, backstory on who we are. Basically, this is my sister Pearl and I'm Hope. So our parents started Timberdoodle 35 years ago. Basically started as mom's efforts to buy homeschooling materials for us, and her friends all saw that and said, hey, that looks really great, we wish we could buy it. She thought, well, shoot, I could buy it at a discount, sell it, make a little bit of a profit, because my dad was working at the mill then, and there wasn't a whole lot of funds, and it just grew from there and grew, and we're putting in our third warehouse this year. So it's just been around for a long time, been a real blessing. So kind of a little bit on the history. Mom has been known for her cherry picking of homeschool supplies.
Right, and in the past, I think all homeschoolers did back in the olden days. They would go through and they'd find what they wanted for math or English or history or whatever they were doing. But currently, what people want is they want kits. They want to say, I have a sixth grader, I have a fourth grader, I have a third grader. Just tell me what I need, and that's what we're doing now, and this is what we've won awards for the last several years, is putting together the best. So if I were to start over again and I had a second grader, what would I use? That's what goes into my mind. What would I use for the second grader? So I gathered those things together, and that's the kit. Yeah. And we vet it among ourselves. I mean, we all
have a preview department. Yeah. That it's because it's changed. Right. Back in the 80s when Timberdoodle started, there wasn't that many options out there for homeschooling. You had a couple choices, but that was it. Right. Nowadays, there is a whole lot of options out there. And as especially new homeschoolers, it can be overwhelming to know, what do I choose? What works well? What do all these terms mean? How am I going to be able to do this?
And when do what's enough? Yeah. Because you can buy, for language arts, you could buy a separate book that teaches verbs and adverbs, and then do I need all of this? Yeah. Where do I stop? Yeah. And so that's what we tried to keep it down to what is the minimum that you will need to actually do an excellent job of homeschooling.
And we're also known with our kits for a number of different things. One is that we focus on hands-on learning, because of all the learning styles, hands-on learning can be one of the most difficult to teach too. You're a visual learner, will learn it by reading the text.
Well, everything for schooling is set up for a visual learner. If you send your children to a public or parochial school or whatever, they are geared to teach to the visual learner. Yeah. And that's where the other kids kind of fall through the cracks.
And the auditories are not too difficult because you can read it to them.
Right.
But the hands-on learner struggles. So ours is tailored towards a hands-on learner as much as possible. We've made it hands-on. And then because of that, everybody else comes along easily.
Right. And for the youngest children, hands-on is really important no matter what the learning style is.
Yes. Yeah. And it's very attractive to the kids. They want to do it. Exactly. Our customers tell us again and again, got the box today, I can't save it, my kid's all over it, and we're just starting already. So it's the kids really love that. We're also known for critical thinking, because if your child knows how to read and regurgitate, that's good, but that's not enough. They need to be able to think critically to be able to figure out the answer on their own.
And that's what we're seeing in our own family and in others. If your child can read and do math and think, they can pretty much do anything else. They can figure out science, they can figure out history, they can go wherever they want. But if they can't think, and too often we see children who can have great language arts and math skills, but cannot think to save their life. Yeah. And so thinking is a component that we put in every grade, because we think it's really important.
Yeah. I do want to interrupt our thought process here for a second, just to say, I apologize if our streaming quality is low. We have made great strides, but we're still out in the boonies and our internet is down today. So we are hotspotting it, and hopefully it'll be adequate that you guys can see and hear us. But apologize if it's a little bit choppy. Also, feel free to ask questions on either, we're also Facebook Living it and on the webinar. So either way, you should have a platform that if you want to ask a question, we'll try to get to it before this is over or respond to you guys afterwards. I guess the other thing I want to say back to our kits that we're kind of known for is that our goal is to get your child independently learning as soon as possible. So we realize the kindergarten, the pre-K, the preschool,
until they're reading, they're not.
Yeah, you're not going to be independent, but you're building toward it that whole time. so that by the time they're reading, they're able to take a lot of responsibility for their own lessons.
Right. And that figures into how we organize a kit as well. And we'll get into that more later about scheduling. But our feeling, and we did it with our own kids, is if the child can read, they can pretty much learn on their own. And you need to oversee it and inspect it. But pretty much you can turn them loose and they can be responsible. And those are good skills to have as they mature. And if they go to college, you're not going to be there to read their books to them and so forth. So these are skills they need to have. Let's start it as soon as they can read.
And hopefully that's a word of encouragement. Again, as this year, in light of COVID, a lot of new homeschool families jumping in and saying, I don't know, I didn't want to do this, or I don't know how to do this, but here I am and I need to figure out what I'm going to do. Hopefully that's good news to say it doesn't have to all be on you as the parent.
No.
Help your child. Maybe they don't know exactly how to independently learn this right now, but that'll be your goal throughout the year.
Right.
And get some of that off of your plate so it doesn't have to all be on you.
And our kits are designed and will facilitate that.
Yes.
So again, we're getting slammed with a lot of questions from families, particularly families new to homeschooling with 4, 5, 6 kids, and they're saying, I can't do this. How can I do this? Well, you can do that. If the older kids are reading, this will be easy. Probably the first couple of weeks will be rocky as you get your rhythm. But after that, if they're reading, they're fine.
For us, how this worked growing up is there was this carrot out there. Here's your list you need to get done. Get it done by Friday and you get to join the family movie night. Don't get it done by Friday and you got to go be finishing that up in another room while everybody else gets to enjoy family movie night. And so whatever your family's carrots are, that can be effective to say, here's what I expect, here's what I will facilitate, and then it's on you if you want to participate in this reward.
Right.
Here's what the expectations are. And it can actually be a fun learning experience. And it doesn't all have to be on your kid. It doesn't mean you don't get to participate in it, because teaching's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun.
So if you want to, pick the interesting things you like and do that with your child. The things you don't like so much, hand off.
Or you're busy. I mean, really, adults have lives.
They do.
And so there are times where you need to get something else done, and they can do that by themselves.
So that being said, how about we walk them through? We brought out our first grade kit, and we thought, hey, this will give you a good, just kind of quick look at what an average kit would look like. It should include what would be mostly in a lot of our kits, and kind of give you a little walkthrough.
And just as a quick overview, we have at the front. we have what we call basic, complete, and elite. The basic is going to be your math, your language arts, and your thinking skills. If you do those 3 every day, and then you don't do anything else, you have accomplished the major things. Because honestly, history and science is a lot of reading comprehension, and it tends to spiral. So you might study
World history, or
a component world history as a young child, and spiral again. You'll get more information as they go on. So it's not as critical as learning how to read, or learning a math skill, or learning how to think. So if you get those 3 done, when the kids were little, if things were chaotic, we were doing, we had a farm, and we were dealing with elder care and so forth.
and the business.
And there were days where we couldn't get a lot done. On those days, if we got those 3 done, great. And on days when life was a little easier, then you add in the typing and the language arts, or the foreign language, and all the other fun things that you want to do, but you don't have time for.
Yeah. Another thing we're hearing from you parents on is that you're saying, I am concerned, what if I am only doing this for a year and then I'm hoping that they're going to go back to public school next year? How can I make sure I keep them up at grade level? How do I make sure they don't fall behind? And we just want to say, take a deep breath. Don't freak out. It's not that hard. Again, cover your math, cover your reading, cover your thinking skill, and your child should be able to come up and easily integrate back into the public school. And then there's a lot of fun stuff. We would encourage you to, if you can, do more of this kit, because there's a lot of good skills to be learned and a lot of fun things to cover.
So you got your basic, the complete sets are the ones that include all the basics plus history and science, and the elite includes the super fun stuff, the robotics and things of that nature. So you can pick whichever kit meets your needs. And again, if you're thinking seriously of, this is it, I'm only going to do this till the school opens up again, I probably stay with the basic. You don't probably need the rest. Now, if the kids are driving you bonkers, then you might want to get the basic and an art kit, or the basic and an engineering kit. But primarily you could get by with just those three. If schools open up in February, you'll be fine.
And again, we'll talk a little bit about this on scheduling, but that would be a classic where you would say, I will formally schedule to make sure you get this math done and this thinking skills done and this reading done. But other than that, I'm not going to formally schedule in some of the extras. So if you do get the extras, if you get the complete or the elite, those don't have to be scheduled into your school days, or if your kids are driving you bonkers,
Right.
you can get them and then say, hey, now's the time for you to pull out that smart game that we got, or now's the time for you to pull out that STEM kit that we got. And that will help you facilitate your child to continue learning. It has some structure to it,
Right.
but it doesn't have to be rigidly scheduled into your day.
Right.
So maybe we should jump into it.
All right, so we'll start with the math. Pearl, why don't you do that?
All right. So math in every grade from kindergarten through 12th grade is Math UC. And so this one is the alpha level. What Math UC really stands out for is how sequential it is and how hands-on it is. You want anything?
It's a mastery program. So your child, so there's the two terms, the mastery and the spiral learning. So spiral learning for math will cover a little bit of addition, and then maybe we'll cover a little of subtraction, maybe we'll get into time keeping, and it'll just spiral and spiral and continue to increase as it goes throughout the year. Mastery says, we're going to cover this topic until you have mastered it.
Right.
The other,
And there are two trains of thought there. One is for a child who things come easily, mastery won't be what they want. They're going to want a spiral program. And we do have that option if you want to customize a kit. There are other math programs that we carry that do spiral. But most kids need mastery in math because it's interesting in reading programs, it's a known thing. You're going to learn your phonics. You're going to learn what that sound is, and you're building up. But for some math programs, they are spiraling so much that kids never feel like they get the foundation. And they hit the wall when they hit about fourth grade. And all of a sudden, they don't remember anything, how to do anything, where are they at? So we like mastery. That's our preferred way. But if you have a very bright child in math, we have other options.
yes, and we also have placement tests. So if you're saying, I think I like the mastery, but I think they might be a little bit more advanced than a typical child is in this grade, take the placement test
Please.
and get the appropriate level.
Please do that, yeah.
Math UC also has the DVD instructions. So your child can watch it. You can watch it with your child and it does all the instruction for you.
So if you're saying probably in first grade, you're not feeling this way, but maybe you're in fourth, fifth, or sixth, or high school, you're saying, I don't know how to teach it. What am I going to do? I never did well in math myself. Don't worry about it. It's all in here. The teacher walks you through, and then you sit down and you do the lesson.
And it has the manipulatives. Did we mention that?
No, but it does.
The manipulative blocks, which I don't think we brought the sample in here, but it has the units so that your child has represented in a physical unit what each number represents and can see, oh, I can actually see 3 units plus 2 units equals the same as 5 units.
Right.
So it will make sure they comprehend it.
Why don't you talk to us about this?
Okay, so wrap-ups is basically the hands-on version. I'm a little closer here. The hands-on version to a flashcard or memory. So let's just show you here. You've got, for addition, you've got +1s, +2s, 3s, 4s, and you go like this. And your string will basically, your child will be memorizing the math facts, wrapping it from 3 + 1 is 4, 6 + 1 is 7. And then what thing we really like about wrap-ups, besides that it's hands-on and it's fun, kids are naturally drawn to it, is that it is self-checking on the back. It has little raised ridges, so your child can see if the string is on the raised ridge, they got it right. If not, they need to redo it and try it again, and then they can go for speed and time on addition and subtraction.
And it takes you out of the picture as far as the bad guy. I mean, it's not like you're going wrong, wrong. The wrap-ups will self-correct.
Great for car travel. Parents love to say, okay, again, this is one of the things you say, okay, you need something structured and focused once you get the wrap-ups out and work on those for a while.
And
Yes, and so then the last math item is Moby Kids, which are these little tiles. You're basically doing a crossword style game with math equations. So simplified so that your first grader can be playing against you. A great way to be interactive in how you do math and fun. It takes math from being something you have to do like, oh, let's do the game.
Right.
So these are examples of what's included in math in first grade. In all of our grades, we have the Math UC kit. In some of the grades, we have an additional math game, if applicable. In some of the grades, like third grade, we'll have, and again, have the wrap-ups in third grade.
Right.
So always have the Math UC. Occasionally, we'll have the hands-on game or
right, just to
Exactly.
reinforce where the kids need drill, and they typically need drill for the first, second, and third grade. So we've got math games in those 3 games.
yes. Move on to reading.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe to talk about all about reading first. Sure. Okay, so all about reading we have in grades pre-K up through
Second grade.
second grade. And this program, we love this program for a lot of reasons. Again, it's got the hands-on focus to it.
Yes.
So it has, either you can purchase it with tiles that your child will be hands-on manipulating.
right.
Yeah, magnetic tiles.
Yep, or it has the app that they'll be doing it on the app. So you'll purchase the app to go with it.
Right.
When we looked for phonics readers, it's really hard to find fun and colorful
Mhm.
and appropriate phonics readers. And when we found All About Reading, we love the readers. Yep, there you go. You can see got the colorful illustrations, engaging stories. We love the readers.
Right.
Looked into the program and love the program. It is known for being not only a solid and quality program, it also works really well for children that are struggling with dyslexia. It works really well for the children who are delayed in their reading skills.
And as a real bonus, again, if you're new to homeschooling, here's a bonus. It's lightly scripted. That means that you don't have to figure out what to say. They'll tell you what to say and what you can expect back from the child. So it's all, they do a lot of hand holding in this program, which is wonderful. And it's only supposed to be 20 minutes a day, which is very doable. So you don't feel like, how am I going to get through this? Just start a clock, start a watch, and go for 20 minutes and done.
Yes. Yeah. I adopted twins last year and started this All About Reading program with them this year. And yes, I've been raised in the culture of homeschooling, but it's still overwhelming.
Yeah.
When I look at this program, I'm thinking, eek, okay, I got to teach these kids how to read. How am I going to do this? And it has been very good at hand holding to say, here's exactly what you say. Here's what you do. Here's a fun addition you can think about. And the boys have loved it. So it's been a real winner.
Right. What else we have for language
All right,
arts?
let's talk about 6 trait writing. So 6 trait writing covers the 6 traits of writing: content, organization, word choice, sentence fluency, voice, and mechanics of grammar, spelling, etc. The lessons are extremely short and just very kid friendly. So again, you can see in this first grade level, super light on text, including pictures. And of course, it gets more challenging as you go through the grades, but again, very approachable for every child to use.
And again, it's not designed to be a handwriting course. So
Right.
it is, if your child has trouble filling in things, let them answer verbally.
Yeah.
For some of that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Want to talk about spelling C?
All right, you want to show videos?
Yep. I can show you guys the pages.
Again, another multi-sensory program encourages visual memory, not rote memory. A lot of kids will memorize spelling words rotely, but the spelling you see, it wants you to do it visually through chunking. That's what they call it. Another program that I appreciate that they're saying, don't spend more than 10 minutes a day on this.
Yeah.
I love that. No lists to memorize every week, no tests every week. I would have loved it as a kid.
Yeah.
Spelling was not my thing, but something like this I think would have been very doable. So that's spelling you see, and that's in the first grade.
And then the last item in language arts is these Imagine Dice for storytelling skills. So again, it's something that a first grader is good. Most first graders are going to struggle to write a story because they just simply don't have those skills yet. But they still need to be building those storytelling skills. So we've included this. You roll the dice. Together you create a story based on the images shown. So perfect.
Vocabulary.
You're out of the screen, they can't see you.
Vocabulary, sentence structure, things like that you can work on with something like this. It's a great supplement. And again, what we're showing you today is in the elite for the most part. So we didn't parse it down, but if you get on our website, it'll clearly walk you through which is in which kit, so you know. And if you want, let's say you wanted something that is in an elite kit, but you're only buying a basic, it all can be added in.
Exactly.
All right, which should go to next? Think he's going?
Sure.
Perfect.
All right. So this is critical and creative. Do you want to talk about the 2 different types of thinking, or?
I think we'll get into that when we get into.
Okay, great. So again, very colorful, but it really lives up to, it's not colorful. Very picture based is what the word I was looking for.
Very simple.
It really lives up to its name of both dealing with the critical thinking skills where you have to deduce a single answer,
Right.
and the creative where you're trying to get your child to do more than just read and regurgitate.
Right.
And again, for all of our kits, some of them will use the critical and creative, some of them will use the critical thinking companies, building thinking skills books. But for all of our kits, we will include a critical thinking workbook book to go through and a critical thinking game for them to work through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
So for
One
first grade, this is it.
hands-on, one textbook.
Curriculum.
of course.
Yes. And again, if your child does not have the reading or writing skills to complete this, you can just do it as an interactive answer verbally.
Okay, so for our critical thinking for the game is in first grade is smart cookies. And again, it varies in the grades, in the different grades, which game is included. But for this kit, it is smart cookies, which basically works you through level by level. It will work you up thinking logically of where does each cookie go on the cookie tray.
It's, deductive logic.
Yep.
And it's a single player game. Sometimes people hear game, they think whole family.
Yes.
In this particular case, it's single player, and they've
To
got,
get the workbook, I can, in fact, so you got the board, you've got the very cute, attractive little cookies that feel like they would taste good, although they are not edible. And then you've got the workbook. So this one is 24. So you're fair ways into the program, and they're giving you the clues to say, hey, the blue triangle cookie does not go in any of these spots. The red one, a red cookie does not go in any of these spots. And by using your deductive critical thinking skills, you are going to build level upon level to figure out where does each cookie go. So,
and again, what opened our eyes is when we used to do conferences, and we would take these games on the conferences and challenge the children who came with their families to play them. And how many kids could not complete the games?
or how many parents?
And how many
And
parents?
we can't put ourselves completely out of the category. We just got the first start at it when we preview these. But how many parents will walk up even to something like this and you think, well, this is for a first grader. I should be able to go to the last challenge and just bang it out. And the answer is no, you need to be able to work through it and build your skill.
Right. Right.
All right, you want to talk about our multiplayer game?
Yes. So this is the Postman game. So it's working on the visual acuity, and the nice thing about this is there are multiple levels of play. So if you're playing with mostly younger kids, you can play the easier version where you're just looking for the matching house. If you're playing with a wider age range, you can do ones where you're looking for certain clues. So it has to be the yellow house with 3 windows and a chimney. Okay, that's going to be a lot harder.
Right. And it changes. You
Yes.
build the board first, then you play the game.
Right.
So it always changes.
Yes.
And we probably got a little bit ahead of ourselves. We should probably go back and talk about why this year we added multiplayer games to our kits. So this is new for us this year. We've always included the single player games, but new this year is adding the multiplayer games because we realize there's a huge need in kids these days to have an emotional intelligence. And one of the great ways to play that is
To build that.
is to play games together, because being able to emotionally read each other, to help each other win well and lose well, to be able to have good sportsmanship, all of that is played in the game with the side benefit of when we chose these games, we didn't just choose an average game. We picked a game.
Chutes and ladders.
Yeah. We picked a game that would hopefully challenge both the child at their age and the parent
Yeah.
at the same time. So both your
Yeah, because
people.
if you're playing with the kids, you don't be bored.
no, you don't. So we try to pick games that would have a good
Yeah.
broad age appeal, and pick games that would also enable them to be working on all these other skills at the same time.
This is just as a side note, brand new game from Spain.
Yeah.
And it's really very nice.
Yeah.
It's been a huge hit.
It's been a huge hit. Yeah.
All right, so that covers thinking
Oh,
skills.
nope, we forgot Mini Luke.
Oh,
Okay. Mini Luke is,
I'll take a
yes.
look.
It is sort of similar to a workbook-based thinking skills, except that it has a hands-on component for every challenge. So you lay the tiles over part of the picture, and then you are arranging them according to the directions on here. So it's good for the children who have to be moving their hands, have to be hands-on, or they're not tracking, or they get bored with workbooks. So this is, again, good way to bring in the variety while still working on huge range of thinking skills.
Topics like
Yes.
math and visual perception
Yes.
and concentration. So yeah, a lot of great.
Yeah.
and again, parents have often asked each other, so we love Mini Luke. We think it's definitely a good, crucial part of your program. But parents will often say, hey, is this something, if I'm going to chop the kit at all, should I chop it?
Don't chop the kit. Oh, the kids. I thought you said the kid.
The kits. If I'm going to take anything out of the kit, should I keep Mini Luke in or not? And again, parents have said, keep the Mini Luke. My kids love it. My kids have flown through it. I'm going to buy I bought set A, I'm gonna buy set B. This is a great kit. So all around kids like it.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so now what's next?
We can talk about history.
Let's do that.
Okay.
All right.
So-
So we, for the first 4 grades, it's, I don't know if there's anything to see in there. It's
Yeah.
just pretty text.
Yeah.
Okay, first 4 grades, we cover story of the world. It doesn't matter if, well, I guess it doesn't matter. I was gonna say, it doesn't matter if it's religious or non-religious. It is a non-religious based
Yes.
book. You basically, excuse me, read a story, and then you've got
Activity book.
an activity book, and then it's a huge activity book.
And so there are suggestions where you can read the directions for a complex activity,
Right.
or you can use the coloring sheets that are in the back.
Right.
And again, if you're new to homeschooling, you have multiple ages, this is a great program because this is written specifically to be able to work with multiple ages.
Right. So if you have a first or even kindergarten up through probably 6th grade, you can do all the children at the same time on this,
Mhm.
but then pick an activity that is age appropriate for them.
And they have suggestions for that.
And they do. And so this is really good. Another really nice thing is they do have a CD that you can listen to. So if you're saying, I don't want to read this, you don't have to. They've got a program. Some families just stick it in the car and listen to it as they travel, but you can turn on at home and go about your business, and the kids can be coloring their pages while they're listening. It's just a great program.
And I love that even as young as 1st grade, the children are learning world history and not just American history, which we do teach later, but I think it's great to give them a broader perspective to build the American history on.
Exactly, because I do think sometimes you get very narrow-minded,
Mhm.
and you're just, all you care about is Columbus and all that. And here, no, you're gonna hear about the world history around the world and all the different historical things that have happened. So we love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, to complement that is the famous figures through ancient times. So you've got your figures that you can cut out and then buy some brads and put them together, or they're already, or cut out and color them, or the ones that are already colored. So you have 2 options for your children. And again, some of these figures will tie in with the story of the world. So then as the characters come up, supplement with that. Throwing in also with history is geography. We have Skill Sharpeners for Geography, which is the same company as does the daily trait writing.
Right.
Again, nice, colorful, short activities that will give your child just an overview on geography.
Covers geography terms that
Yeah.
they really need to know, and again, places around the world and so forth.
Maps,
Yeah.
etc.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that it ties together the concepts, like here's how to read a map by showing a real life example of,
Right.
and here's a map of Washington State. It just,
All right.
and then the one last item of geography is the Scrunch Map World, which is, it's nice to have a map that is portable, and yet you don't have to do origami to get it back where it belongs. So it just pulls out, and then when you're done, you just scrunch it back in.
And it's just a lot of fun. It's
Yeah.
tie back, so you can't hurt it.
Yeah, take it wherever you want to go.
Right.
All right, so we should move into science next. Do you want to cover science first?
Sure. So this is the science in our non-religious curriculum. What I love about building blocks of science is that it covers all 5 of the core disciplines every year. And so I'm gonna just read the list so I don't miss one. Chemistry, biology, physics, geology, and astronomy every year. So you have the student text, and then you have the lab notebook that goes along with it. There are lab experiments. If you get the elite kit, you will receive a lab kit. If you choose not to get the elite kit or you purchase it separately, it does use household materials. So you don't have to use a lab kit,
No,
but it's just one way to make your life easier.
and it does make your life easier. And there's times where you need one of something, and you don't want to go out and buy a bag of
Right.
balloons, for
Well,
example.
especially right now in the world, you don't want to have to make another trip to the store just because
Exactly.
I have no aluminum foil.
Okay. And they also come with digital access, and tell me a little bit about that.
So that will give you some ideas about how you might schedule, and it will also give you some ideas for additional activities like art that you might want to pull in. So again,
Okay.
great optional things that you can download as digital PDFs.
And if you're in a state that requires testing, they do provide tests that you can download and test your kids. We're not big testing proponents, but there are some states that is required as far as being in a charter school and whatnot to keep the documents. So again, that's
can be helpful.
available.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's move into STEM.
Sure.
Okay. All right, what do you want to talk to us about robotics?
Sure. So we love this company's robotics kits. They are quality. The directions are great for putting them together. What we love about this kit is that the pieces are large enough that
Can
even,
you hold it up?
yes, even a first grader is going to be able to put in the pegs, pieces, and build the robots.
Yep, mechanized action.
Yes, and so these ones are simply build it, push the button, and go. We do teach more of like the programming aspects in later grades, but of course, in first grade, this is good.
For a first grader, they feel very successful having done that.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, and then last in STEM is the plus plus. So these are, let me see how close I can get to you. They are little pieces, we're going up here, that your child will use to assemble different objects or structures or challenges.
You can go 2D and 3D.
Yeah, right. And what we have, beyond just the value of the plus plus itself, in our curriculum guide that comes with each kit, we have included some challenges for your child to do. So we will either have the picture of build this, or we'll have the description of build something that looks like.
So this would be an example of, so what do we call that, Hope?
Now my brain escapes me.
Convergent divergent
Yes.
thinking. And
Yes.
that's, again, we alluded to it earlier, that's something we're real big proponents on. We think it's very important that children get both. And again, most curriculums, you're gonna have one or the other, but you're not gonna have both. And in most Lego sets, you're gonna have one, but not the other. So this is why we actively look for curriculum or look for components, building components that will enable
Convergent and divergent.
a little bit of both. And so what's the difference?
So the convergent learning, which I think the example you showed was convergent, which was here's the example, build this. That's the convergent. There is one answer. You just need to have the skill of learning to go from 2D to 3D. You need to be able to follow the directions. And that's a very valuable skill. So that,
Okay, so something like that.
Yeah.
You need to build it to look exactly like
yeah,
that.
and that's valuable. That's necessary, which is why we've included it.
And that's what your typical Lego set will do
Yes.
for you.
The divergent learning is we've included examples in here saying, build something that you're thankful for, or build something that build a bridge.
Right.
So we are not going to give your child the answers. We're not going to tell them how to do it. This is where the creative thinking comes in, and they've got to figure, and the critical thinking come in and say, how can I make this, or what should I make?
Or build something that an old person needs. Well, now you're trying to think through what do they need?
Yeah.
Well, it's different from an old person than a young person. What are the needs?
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to get the kids to think outside the box.
Yes.
All right, so that's plus plus.
And that's STEM.
And that's STEM.
Okay, art. Let's cover that.
Okay, so you've got,
Your paint by clay or coloring with clay.
Yeah.
So basically your child will receive 4 different boards, is that
I
correct?
think that's true.
That your child will use the clay that's included. Oh, I see we've lost one, Joy. Lost your Facebook Live. That's okay, we'll continue on the webinar. You've got the clay that you're going to
Marbleize, layer, blend.
right,
stylize and put on the board as a form of art.
yeah, so they give you the outlines and you're filling it in with clay. It's really a great,
It's an incredible way to be. It's in a sense, it's like a paint by number, but it's more than that because again, you have the 3-dimensional aspect where
And the sensory
creative.
component, because
Yes.
again, the tactile for this
Exactly.
age, very important.
very, very good. Okay. And,
okay, it looks like our Facebook Live is back.
Okay.
all right, tell us a little about this.
Artistic patch, your child's going to be using the metal foil to make little metal stickers. It complements our aquarium Cosmos kit. Again, just a fun way for your child to experience more of that.
Okay, and tell us a little about that.
Coolarium is unique in that it's having your child paint. Bottom line, your child is painting. But, oops, I don't think I have examples. No, I
No,
don't.
you don't.
Okay. Over here. Is it wax?
Yes, so you're painting with watercolors, but there are wax outlines so that you will have a recognizable image no matter your child's painting skills. But they are choosing the colors, they're mixing the colors. So
And if they layer the color, so if they make the sun a little lighter than they want, they can layer on a
Yes.
different color, and it's really
if you-
fantastic.
But because
paint
of the
fast, paint slow, different effects.
Yes, and we've used it for all ages. Obviously, the older your child is, a toddler doesn't get as much out of it as a first grader would. Whatever the age, your child will be successful because of the wax edges. It still looks like something.
Yeah.
It looks wonderful.
Our kids would love that.
All right, Doodle, Washington DC, girl.
I love this one because it teaches, again, that divergent or creative thinking skills, while also teaching a little bit of social studies. So again, you have some things that are very specific to Washington, D.C., like it's a rainy day, doodle the rain, and you're right in front of the Washington Monument. But you also have ones that are more, general life. So this is a cupcake, draw something fun on it. So again, you have a lot of creative thinking, building that divergent thinking skill.
And this is, Doodle books is something that we've tried as much as possible to include in all the different grades, because doodling works both sides of the brain. Unlike drawing, where you're replicating something, you are having to think what you're going to do and then do it. So both sides of the brain, that's doodling, and we try to include that. Hopefully, you tell us about what's new with this.
So this has, let me show you all these examples. So either your child, as the title describes, your child's either going to be finding what's new, what's missing, what's different through a bunch of colorful examples. Another one here. And so they'll be doing such things as, there are only 2 robots that, there are only 2 that don't have a matching robot buddy. Can you find them? And add a new robot to the empty spot. So again, they're using both sides. They're saying, I've got to figure out the answer to this problem, and I creatively get to design my own robot.
And some of them are going to be very subtle differences that you're going to have to pick out.
Yeah.
Good for visual acuity and memory and so forth.
So it's not just an art book, it's also a thinking skills book.
Exactly.
All right, so last, I think, in our kit, and that's been a lot, is the learning helps, or, and so we got the test book and also the matter.
Yes. So we include the test prep book because for 2 reasons. One is some homeschoolers are in states where they are required to take a standardized test every year. And
some parents are nervous.
Yes, and the testing format is a little bit different than most other aspects of homeschooling. In most aspects of homeschooling, you're not coloring in little bubbles as you go. So this is to get kids familiar, ready,
and reduce
confident for the
testing
test.
anxiety.
Yes, reduce testing anxiety.
But it's also good for parents who are not in a state that tests, just so they get to the end of the year and they say, oh, they did learn that. I had no idea. Okay, this is really good.
So it's confidence for parent and child alike.
Yes, yeah. Really
Okay, and then last is the Mad Matter, which is your child's fidget. It's the sensory component to your grade. And Mad Matter is a fascinating compound, and it's been one of our favorites because it's not sticky. It does not dry out. It doesn't stick to your carpet. It vacuums up. Gluten-free, and it's soft. It feels, some people describe it as like a circus peanut or whatever, but it's very soft and fluffy. You can tell I can stretch it there, or for on the floor. It's also can be compacted with the brick maker that comes with it, so your child can actually build some bricks. It has a number of extruders. And again, in our curriculum guide, we will not only have, Sally, you just schedule it in, but we'll give you a bunch of examples. So have your break out Mad Matter this week and have your child make a number of snakes, or break it out and have them make a snowman, and break it out and have, so we've given you, I think, 30 different examples of what you can do, or more than that.
Yeah.
So that you will be using that, not just here's some.
Yeah, here, do something.
Yeah.
A lot of families are finding this is very helpful during Story of the World.
Yes.
If they don't have a craft pick out for their child to do during that time, they just give that to them while they're listening either to mom read or to the CD playing, and it works beautifully.
Some of our employees keep it at their desks to fiddle with when they're waiting for something to download or upload or any other number of things. So I think that covers what a walkthrough of a first grade would look like.
Except for the handbook.
We should talk about the handbook. Yeah. Do you want to talk? Do you want me to go into that?
Sure. So our handbook, it covers each item, gives you a little overview of each item. It gives you some overviews on scheduling. But the 2 things I really want to shout out about the handbooks are the reading challenge and some of the extra helps. So do you want to talk about the reading challenge?
So the reading challenge, we want your child to be reading. So we gave you a reading challenge that gives you a number of different ideas for, instead of saying read 30 books this year, read 50 books this year, we give you a bunch of different categories. So read a book about grandparents, or read a book about swamps, or read a book, a biography, or read a book with that has an R in the title, or read a book that has, and so we give you a bunch of different categories, which was great until you went to the library and tried to find these books and realized, I don't even know where to begin. And so now we also include, for each of those categories, we include a list of, here's 5 suggestions that might work. And we know not every family is the same, and not every family has the same standards. So we've included about 4 or 5 suggestions for each category, so give you something to work with when you go to the library to try to find these.
Especially
titles.
again now where libraries are shut down in many parts, you can request them and then go and pick them up. So you can, in a sense, instead of trying to find them, you can do it
Yes.
this way.
Yeah.
The advantage that we're finding on the reading challenge is that instead of saying you're in first grade and these are the 6 books I want you to read this year, we're giving children some voice, some option. So we can say, I would like you to read like an autobiography or a biography. You get to pick what it's going to be about. And I think that helps children to have a voice in what their curriculum looks like.
Develop an interest.
Develop an interest, but it also encourages them to get out of their narrow box. So if they have a passion on horses, they may only, if you said I need you to read 30 books, they may pick only 30 books on horses. I don't want that. So I will then say, that's okay, but now this week I want you to find a book with a red cover. And I don't care what it's about, but it has to have a red cover. And if they can't find one on horses, then there has to be something on
Volcanoes or something.
yeah, then that's great. Now and maybe their passion will be volcanoes. So this is why I really love this program. Where jumpstart you on ideas, but it doesn't say to you, you must read this type of book or this book.
Yes.
It has books on poetry.
Yeah.
So you're required to go out and find a book about poetry.
Yeah. So then the other thing you talked about was the scheduling aspect. And again, we formulated our scheduler, and you get a sample in here and walk you through it in the guide, but you'll also get access to our online scheduler. And we formatted it after how Mom raised us, which was she took the books at the beginning of the year and said, here's everything I want.
Here's what I want to get done by the end of the year.
Well, there's 100 pages, means we need to do this many pages a week. There's 5 activities, means I need to do an activity every so many weeks. And she just made a list, handed us the list and said, get this done by the end of the week if you want the family movie night. And if we knew that if we went through the entire list every week, your curriculum was complete by the end of the year. And so that's what we've done for you. On our online scheduler, we've already pre-populated it with all your curriculum options in the Elite kit. So then you can delete off ones that you didn't purchase, or you can customize ones. If you customized our kit and added this instead of that, you can customize it on there. You can add extra things to it. So if you're saying, I really want to make sure I get down to the grandparents once a week and help them, add that to your list. So it becomes kind of your planner.
Or if you already have a different math program that you like, you can add that to the list. It's not going to exclude anything. No. So you will have to put in
how many lessons it has and how many
weeks you want to work on. Do a little work on it, but you can add whatever you want. You can add chores, you can add like you're saying, appointments, you can add whatever you want. It will print out a list, and your child can look at that and say, oh, I need to practice piano 20 minutes a day or whatever it's going to be, and it will be on this list for them.
And you can do it in a daily format or a weekly format. I think a lot of families in the Timberdoodle group prefer the weekly format because, again, ours is more of a flexible schedule. So we're not going to tell you on Monday you have to get math out first and then you get language arts out. There are programs that do that, and there's a lot of beauty for some families that want that or need that, and that's great. But ours does not do that. Ours is more realizes people got lives and things adjust.
And it's, frankly, for me, it would have been stressful. If I had read, it's Thursday the 23rd, and here's what you're going to be doing, I would have stressed because I know that's not what we can do today. The sheep is giving birth, or the grandparent needs to go to the hospital, whatever it's going to be. And those things get in the way of life. So having a weekly schedule, then you can figure this all out. And for you guys, some of you, Monday, you sit down and you just blaze through it, and the rest of the week is for whatever you want to do. And some of you didn't. You waited till Friday and sat down and cried all your way through. But it depends on the child. But you work those kinks out. But I think giving kids the chart and let them be responsible, again, as soon as they can read, why not? That worked really well for us. And again, the other thing the scheduler can do, where we're living in a multi-generational home where we've got both foster kids and your adopted kids, and then you guys, so on and so forth. A lot of us are teaching.
Yeah. It gets to be a little bit of a battle at the beginning of the year. I want to teach this. Yeah, I want to teach that.
It's on this one.
Yeah. So, but what the schedule would do is it will let us parse it out. So grandma gets to teach these topics, and you get to teach these, and you get to teach these.
Yes.
And you'll get your own schedule. Then again, this is your kids aren't reading.
Yeah.
So,
so as they learn to read, then they'll learn to do that. And so you can print out, you can formulate your schedule, print it out. What we did before is formulate you a schedule and formulate me a schedule. So then she knows these are the things I got to cover, and I know these are the things I've got to cover.
Right.
And then you both work off your list. And it gives you little check boxes. And again, you go with the flow. A lot of families, again, you can be the family that says, no, I want the daily schedule and here's how we're going to do it. And that's great. There's nothing wrong with
And
that.
you can print that.
And you can print that.
We have that option.
Or the weekly schedule that says we've got to do 10 pages of math. And then that's where the child really feels they're in a math mood and you whip that thing out. Or no, they really didn't get to it. So we need to make sure we do a couple pages today because otherwise we're going to get too backlogged by the end of the week.
Right.
So a lot of flexibility in that.
Lots of flexibility.
All right, we should probably talk about any questions that we've gotten. Joy is off screen, but Joy, do you have any questions that you see that we should be addressing?
You have one early on about how much of this is online.
So we did have one question on how much of our curriculum is online.
Yes.
And very little. There are some scattered online programs throughout our
Yes.
grades. For example,
Yes, in 8th grade, for STEM, we have an introduction to aviation. Fabulous course. Most of it is going to be done online. There are some hands-on elements to it. Or in 11th grade, there are little bits and pieces that are online. For the most part, this is all going to be hands-on.
any other questions?
How much time do you spend on this curriculum each day?
Most parents are telling us they're spending between 1 to 4 hours on the curriculum each day, depending on the grade. So, and depending on your child's motivation level.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. That's more important. It's your child's motivation. But yeah, you really should be able to get it easily done within 4 hours. And some kids are just gonna shoot right through it.
So practically, for our family, the boys are in kindergarten. You do about an hour of school with them in the morning.
Right.
I do about an hour of school with them in the afternoon, and we get through the curriculum that way. So effectively, that works out to about 2 hours. We also throw their school is classic for, we throw some things to the, you need an activity to work on. So I know I want them to build a geopuzzle once or twice a week. So when things are crazy, I'll say, once you get out the geopuzzle. So it's not something that I scheduled in my 2 hours, but it's something that easily fits in on the rest of the day, and it's accomplished by the end of the week. It's not that big a deal.
And sometimes our 1 hour in the morning is not spent going through the school. It's spent, playing the multiplayer games for the emotional intelligence. So again, it's very flexible.
Any more questions?
Yes, a couple more.
Okay.
Motivation questions. What if my kid won't learn from me?
That's a good question. There's a couple different tactics you can take. There's the carrot.
Yeah.
And
You hate to say it, but there's the whip. And so,
the stick.
and so some kids are more motivated by, for you guys, it was movie night. It could be ice cream. It could
For the
be
boys, we've done, get it done, you get to have a special experience, like go
fishing
for a boat ride or go
Yeah.
fishing or.
or go to a playground.
Yeah.
So it really depends on the child. Sometimes that's all they need. And sometimes it's the taking away. So, and that would be the stick. And so you're saying, if you don't get this done, you lose
Something, and for us,
screen time or whatever it would be.
yeah,
I think losing the movie night kind of was the stick. So
I
you
think
had the
that was
carrot
the
and the stick all
There's
together.
also the thing of, until you accomplish this, there's no other fun activities that can be done. It's kind of like a job. We treat school as their job. And as a grown-up, you don't really have a choice of whether you want to go or not. This is not really a choice. There are some choices in it.
Right. I know for when you guys were little, some of the kids love to read. And so I think you have to find what their passion is and take it back.
And you be the boss
So
of that.
I would say if you don't have your schoolwork done by X amount of time, you cannot do any recreational reading till you catch up on your schoolwork. So you got to play around with that. I believe we did a
Video or
video on what do you do if
Yes.
your child's not motivated. So you
might Google that and say if
Yeah, I think we
maybe
have it on our blog.
so maybe we could put a link at the bottom or
of the
something.
Facebook.
Because
Live.
there can
Yeah.
be reasons why your child doesn't want to.
That's true. You
Exactly.
definitely want to look for
Oh
reasons.
yeah, anyway,
Yeah.
consider that. Yes,
It could be the curriculum's too hard. It could be the curriculum's too easy. They're bored out of their schools.
right,
So you do want to first be a detective and say
exactly.
why.
Just hit
Choose
that
this
first.
first. Ask why. And then if it boils down to plain old, I don't want to, and you can't make me, well, then there needs to be that conversation of, actually, this is your job and it is the role that you need to play right now. And so here's what the
Your
carrot
choices
and the
are.
stick Yeah, you can choose this or you can choose this.
Yeah.
So hopefully that helps. If you want more helpful ideas, want to give us specific,
Yes.
more details, we'll be to give you more details.
Related to that, are there other carrot ideas for middle school?
Well, again, you know your child better than anyone else. What do they enjoy doing?
Yeah.
And then
Or if they could do, if it not only what do they enjoy, but if they could have anything or enjoy anything.
You might have them make a bucket list.
Yeah.
And then you would work towards it. Maybe they would really like to go to a certain campground, or maybe they would really like to go to the beach, or maybe there's something that they would really like to do that you could set up, okay, here, this is.
Get the school done in a timely way for this many weeks, and you've earned that.
Right,
Or maybe it's more immediate. There's a food they really, really crave.
right.
We'll get it done, and we can go out for donuts this week. I mean,
So I would just have that discussion with them, and they probably have all kinds of great ideas.
yeah, I know the boys will be sitting at that. I know it's gonna be really hard. So I think we should have a reward at the end. What do you guys think would be a good reward? They'll throw in their ideas and be really excited about it. They'll kind of take ownership for it. So
And it's fair because adults
get paid.
get paid to work.
Yes.
Same for kids.
The last one's on special needs. Specifically, it's on high functioning autism and IEP. And she's really nervous about it. So what tips would you have?
It kind of depends on the age. We do have a new curriculum that we put online this last week for children with autism that looks fantastic, but it really kind of depends on the child. You're saying high functioning, so more like Asperger?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And I think learning to read was what I saw.
Okay,
All about reading should be perfect for him.
all
Yes.
about reading should be perfect, but we get this question a lot, and we were talking this week about somebody in the scaffolding thing of you, if a child is missing some components, then that reading is not going to work for them. And we see that a lot in the autism realm. So going back to how do they do on puzzles? Are they able to put together puzzles? How are they doing on?
Because if they don't have the skill to visually discriminate the puzzle pieces and the puzzle colors, then they're gonna have a hard time visually discriminating the difference in the letters.
Right. And also the thing on auditory memory. If you cannot recite a list of numbers or letters or random things to them, and they repeat it back, then it's really going to be hard for them to, if they sound out cat, at, and they can't remember, they start with a k, then they're going to guess at, dog, or potato, or whatever. And we've certainly seen that. So they need to be able to retain that, have that auditory memory. And so it kind of depends on the age.
Depends on the skill level. Our curriculum, specifically our curriculum, many parents who are working with their children with autism have said that our curriculum works well for their children. Our curriculum is also able to be customized. So if you're saying he's pretty much at a first grade level, except for his fine motor skills are not great, or he is more at a third grade level in math, but his emotional intelligence is not there at all. Our kids are customizable. So you can take, hey, I'm going to take a first grade, but I can tell that emotional intelligence we haven't done anything on, so I'm going to pull that from the preschool, pre-K kids, or his fine motor skills, I'm going to pull that from that, but I'm going to upgrade him on math. That's why we customize, but that's why we allow customization, is because every child is different. And specifically for something like autism, we're saying you could have some huge strengths, and then you could also have some weaknesses you really need to build up.
And we've certainly seen that. So
So it should work. As a general rule, parents of children with autism say this works really well, but you may need to do some customization.
And if you need help
Or
doing that,
specifics,
the more information you give us about your child, the better we can help you. So, you cannot overwhelm us with the details, and then we can more
send us an
accurately.
email and we'll get back to you on
We
it.
also have lots of online assessment tests that I really encourage families to take them. And then that gives us feedback to, if you tell me he did really poorly in this, I know what book that reflects, and I will know, okay, then you need to go to the book before that to get there.
I think we should probably also talk a little bit about, when we talk about motivation and stuff, is we get a lot of feedback sometimes from parents saying, well, my child doesn't want to do that. So that wasn't a good program for us. And
They're not really a science kid.
they're not really a science kid, or they're not really into building things. And I would say we have worked with some with children with autism, and I would say that does tend to sometimes arise in that field. And so again, you're going to want to make sure you have the carrots out for them to say, I know you're not a building guy, but that's a skill you need, or I know you don't want to think critically, but you need that skill. And so we didn't include things in here because we thought, well, some kids like building, we better put building kids in there. We included it because it's necessary for your child.
And again, I just want to say even typical children.
Yes.
We heard this so many times at conferences. Well, my third grader doesn't really get into building, so we're just not gonna. Are you kidding me? These are skills that they actually need. I don't care if they want to build a bridge, that being able to see from 2D to 3D is really vital.
Yes.
And you're gonna use it whether you're a doctor or whether you're a bridge builder or whatever you are.
Whether you're packing boxes in our warehouse, it
Yes.
all comes down to
Yeah,
this.
yeah, so I would encourage, regardless of where they are typical or atypical, that these are things that they should be doing.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that covers it. If you guys have any more questions, Facebook us, email us,
Chat us.
chat us. Or working on a limited crew because of COVID, so
Right.
phones are not as accessible.
No.
But get a hold of us and we will get back to you as fast as we can. Should warn you maybe a little bit to say that homeschooling is, as you can imagine, taking off. So the sooner you can make a decision, probably the better as far as supplies go. But
We're running about a week behind right now. I expect by August, it's gonna be 3 to 4 weeks behind. So if this is
if you
something,
have to start on a certain day, you may want to make a decision sooner. Otherwise,
yes,
float with the flow. And go with it. Thank you, guys.
thank you.
Can I make it public to share? Yes, right?
Yes.